Sign up is signed up. Regulated Industries Committee meeting to order. We got a quorum, busy schedule today, end of the week. Everybody's ready to move it on. I'm going to start at the top of our list, House Bill 1046, Representative Clark. All right, you and I have had multiple conversations. You've gone from wanting to add one bill to yours, two bills to yours, strip it down to zero, dropping more subs off. I need to know what you want us to pass. Start by telling us what was in your original bill. We are working off of a substitute,
Right.
LC 365841S.
Yes, that is
That's
correct.
what you got. Tell me what's in this bill. How
So-
much of it you started with and what you added to it.
Yep. So what I explained last time, same bill, we did take out,
Our memories don't go that far. We've
Yep.
passed about 14 bills since your last time.
so in short, House Bill 1046, it just authorizes APRNs and PAs to be able to sign death certificates. If their overseeing physician puts it in the APRN's protocol agreement or the PA's job description. And then also, we have in the bill that the APRNs and PAs need to take additional training to be able to sign the death certificates. We have that in there. And then also, there's a selection box added to the death certificates to be checked by the non-physician completing the form. And that's the overview of the bill. And
That was all in your original bill that passed the House?
yes,
All right, have you added anything to it or made any changes in this proposed substitute?
I did move lines 111 through 131, and we moved that. There was some questions asked because it updated some language, but had nothing to do with the death certificate or any part of the main part of the bill. It was some updating of language, so we just took that out because we had some questions asked
Right.
outside committee. But it does not change the bill as a whole at all.
Okay. All right, that much that you just explained, you explained to me, I'm fine with that because you were just deleting things from your bill.
Yes, correct.
In creating the substitute. There have been a couple of people that have asked to catch a ride on your bill.
All right,
You
I'm
said
open to
yes
hearing.
to a couple, then we decided no.
All right.
I got a new one. Senator Dixon has a bill, Senate Bill 460. Are you familiar with that? Have you discussed with him? It dealt with physician assistants and the number of advanced practice nurses that could work under one position, so it fits your code section.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that bill, Senate Bill 460?
Yes, I'm definitely familiar. I've talked with them, and if y'all wanted to add that to the bill, I'm okay with that.
Do you want to add that to it?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
do you want to do it as an amendment, or are you,
To add it as an
Yes.
amendment to your bill, because it has already passed the Senate.
Yep.
So we've approved it. Okay.
yeah, I support it.
All right.
Great bill.
And is Senator Dixon in agreement with that? Have you had any conversations with him?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right, well then, if any member of this committee wants to move to amend your bill, your committee substitute, by adding Senate Bill 460, I would be receptive to that motion. Got a motion by Senator Ginn and a second from Senator Albers. For our note-keeping purposes, that is LC 520393. All right, we're a little bit ahead of ourselves. We would need a motion to pass before that amendment. I have nobody signed up because we already taken a hearing on your bill. Any further questions by committee members of the author? Senator Ginn, you're recognized for a question.
Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I've got a amendment that Senator Williams had asked to do this concerning death certificates, and I'll be glad to read this if
He has presented that to me actually a week ago, and I told him it fit this code section if it was with the approval of the author and there was the will of the committee. Let's hold off for just 1 minute. Are you familiar with that?
I am familiar, and I've talked with Senator Williams about it, and I'm supportive of the amendment.
Okay, so yours allows physician assistants and advanced practice nurses to sign death certificates. This would also allow funeral home director to do so, right?
No,
Is that what this is?
I'll be glad to read it to you.
Let's hear it.
The amendment committee substitute HB 1046, inserting between death and the quotation mark at the end of the line 50, the following: an authorized individual completing and signing a death certificate in good faith and in accordance with the subsection shall be immune from civil liability for any acts or omissions relating to the medical certification, absent wanton misconduct, or intentional wrongdoing. This immunity is in addition to any other legal immunity from liability to which such individuals may be entitled.
All right. Is that what you thought? Is that okay?
Correct, yeah. Totally support it.
Nick? I don't think that's where it goes. He said after line 50.
And
Yeah. Does it have a subsection to it? Because what you're putting there is right before subsection E.
I'm sorry, I was handed that by
Okay.
Senator Williams and.
So Nick, he said that would go after line 50. Does it have a paren, a little letter number?
Yeah, it's paragraph 3. So it's just adding a new paragraph.
All right, so it adds a new paragraph 3. I think that would go, trying to see what's that worth. We got C.
It's just a new paragraph that's on the page before. So
How do we end up go from C to E?
you see the end of the quotation there?
Yeah.
It's original.
That's correct. All righty. Okay, well, let's start with the bill. Committee substitute to HB 1046 LC 365841S. Is there a motion to pass? We got a motion from Senator Ginn, second from Senator Dolezal. Now let me backtrack a little bit then. The amendment that we had, I guess you also filed the amendment to include Senate Bill 460, right, Senator Ginn?
Yes.
And that was seconded by Albers. That's to add LC 520393 to the end of the bill. Let's take action on that amendment first. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, like sign. Okay, that amendment is in, and the second amendment, also from Ginn, seconded by Dolezal.
There was a format to the bill for the Senate that was incorporated. So do you want it as passed the Senate?
No,
Okay.
no, I read the LC number. Your second amendment was this section added after line 50. You just read it to us.
Yes.
Second to that by Senator Albers. Discussion, adding Senator Williams' death certificate language. All right, all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, like sign. All right, so the motion on the floor now is
What bill?
Regulated Industries Committee substitute to HB 1046, which is LC 365841S, as amended. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, and appreciate you being such a
Thank you,
good
Chairman.
sport to help us get some Senate business done in the process.
Hey,
Thank you.
it's all about being a team player, so thank you.
It's an echo in
Yes.
here, and it's driving me crazy.
All right, the next bill is House Bill 1312. And as sometimes happens late in the session, he abandoned that bill and made it available to Senator Kennedy to create a substitute. And in your folders, folks, you will have HB 1312, which is LC 473033ERS. That is a substitute to House Bill 1312. Senator Kennedy, since Jaspers has surrendered that bill to you, will you explain to us what the new substitute to House Bill 1312 deals with?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, number 6.
Let me get you lit up. There we
All
go.
right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. So, as some of you may remember, there's been litigation over some maps, including the Public Service Commission maps that was brought in 2022, and one of the federal judges in Atlanta, Judge Grimberg, entered an injunction against future Public Service Commission elections in August of '22. That order has still remained in place. The judicial injunction has canceled 2 cycles of elections for the Public Service Commission, including in 2022 and in 2024. That decision from Judge Grimberg was appealed to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and just a few months ago, in November of 2023, the 11th Circuit overruled Judge Grimberg's decision. However, for that 11th Circuit opinion to have full weight, it must come with a mandate, which is a document, an order that comes down from the 11th Circuit. But that document has not been issued by the 11th Circuit. So we're in this a little bit of a strange posture where the trial court or the district court's opinion has been overruled by the 11th Circuit. The plaintiffs have appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we're now in this posture waiting. So it's possible that the mandate may come down from the 11th Circuit any day, or it may be many, many months away. And the problem is Georgia remains under the injunction that applies, which says no Public Service Commission elections to be had. So whenever the mandate is released, it will dissolve the injunction, and we can have the elections again. But currently, there's no state law that addresses what do you do when you've had missed elections, because we really are in very strange territory where we've not been before ever in our history, where a judge has, in essence, ordered that elections be skipped. And so that's where we are as it applies to the Public Service Commissions. In the absence of any sort of plan, Judge Grimberg will be able to create his own schedule, but it's important that we as a legislature speak, when do we want these catch-up elections to be had? And so that's what this bill that I have before you simply proposes. Under this plan, we will reset the election cycle to ensure that the PSC continues to have staggered terms. I think most everybody's familiar with that. If you read up on anything to do with the PSC, either from the Constitution, our Constitution, the Georgia Constitution, or in statute, you see that the state found and continues to find great value in having staggered election terms for the Public Service Commission so that you have a continuity of thought, because of the work that the PSC does is long range and affects the long range status effects and things such as utilities for our state. So this plan will reset the election cycle to ensure that we have staggered terms as we have always had and would have had but for this judge's order, but to remain equitable because of the District 2 and the District 3 election cycles, 2 of which have now been missed. Each commissioner gets net 2 more years onto their terms, since Commissioner Eccles, as one, has now already served 8 terms because of the missed election. District 2 for the special election will occur in 2025 in conjunction with the municipal general elections, and the general elections for Districts 3 and 5 will occur in 2026, and Districts 1 and 4 will occur, they're pushed back to 2028. So the net effect is everybody gets 2 more years, and we as a legislature speak that we want these elections to occur. We want them to continue to be staggered as we have, because we recognize the value of that. I know our Constitution only provides that commissioners will serve for 6 years, but under the language of the Constitution, commissioners serve until their successor is elected. So it's not like they end or their term evaporates after 6 years. They continue, and that's why the commissioners we have continue to serve. So this is a proposal to fill this stopgap measure while we're in this odd posture until the litigation issues get resolved.
Then it gets us back on staggered terms as initially intended under our PSC scheme.
Exactly, and as we have had since, I think, 1906.
Are there questions by committee members? All right. Got a question. We're going to hold on that motion, Senator Anderson.
So when will the next election be if this, so this is a substitute to a, yeah.
Tripping it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's nothing remaining from the original bill.
Oh,
This is
okay.
just, the only thing that's addressed in this bill is the subject matter that I just explained.
Okay.
Thank you.
Senator Lucas, you're recognized for a motion. Is there a second? Second from Senator Alvarez. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor, raise your hand. And any opposed? All right, that'll be unanimous. Thank you, Senator Kennedy. You'll be carrying that on the Senate floor.
Yes, sir.
Representative Vance, you with us? All right. House Bill 904, we have heard this, so nobody has signed up. It gave us time to digest it and take comments, and I had really no proposed amendments submitted to me. Did you have any changes you wanted to it?
Which is the one we presented at the hearing last week.
We got 5807S, that's it.
There we go.
All righty. Any other comments you'd like to share with us on this? Or
No,
refresh us
sir.
on what we're trying to accomplish here?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, I really want to thank the committee for their serious vetting and very cordial greeting of a first-timer last week. And unless there are any questions, and unless you want me to, I'll make it real brief and we'll go from there.
That'd be good.
This is a bill that really is 30-odd years in the making. It's a licensing bill for plumbers, electricians, HVAC repair people, and utility folks. What it'll do is basically make this a more cohesive document. It brings in line and puts a little more sense into how these licenses are given. It does establish a little longer continuing educational unit period. Instead of up to 4, it says it has to have at least 4 continuing ed education hours. These can be done online, whereas before, under the old bill, they had to go in person. So we're really trying to make a 21st century bill here for those associations whom all have supported it.
So really, you're encompassing all the building industry and capturing it in this one bill,
Yes, sir, that is correct.
all the different licenses that are granted there now.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get any negative comments or pushback or ways to perfect it. It passed the House 168-1. I'm curious who that one was.
Charlize Byrd.
Okay. We'll take that into account. Any questions from committee members? All right, got a motion do pass from Vice Chairman Senator Summers. Got a second from Senator Harbison? Okay. All right, any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, once again, unanimous. Thank you for your work.
I really
And
appreciate it.
Do you know who you want to carry this in the Senate?
Yes, sir.
Who's that?
Senator Walker.
All right, Larry Walker, you got it.
All right. Thank y'all very much.
AKA Ellis Black.
That was hilarious.
That hurt me. Ellis Black.
All right, Representative Gullett, House Bill 73. I'm going to need you to walk us through this one a little slower than these other two bills because you have made significant changes from your first version. Do you have with you the final version of our substitute? We are working off of LC 55028-6S. Does that sound familiar to you?
It does, yes, sir.
All right, you got to educate me. Tell us the changes that you made, because you've streamlined this in response to some of the questions and testimony that were received when you first presented it.
That's correct. Members, thank you. So this is maybe the third or fourth time you guys have heard this this bill. So this is different a little bit. It's not different in material other than we've removed some things from the bill. So what this bill used to do, it used to create a COA, Certificate of Authority with the PSC to regulate.
We don't know about that. Let's make
Yes,
clear
sir.
COA, not CON, right?
Yes, sir, that's
Okay.
right, COA. So that is what has been removed from this bill. What we kept in here, I think we have broad support for now, is really a disclosure that is given to someone when they purchase or lease one of these residential solar fixtures for their home. I mean, what that disclosure tells the person, it tells them, if you look at line 44, the name, address, phone number of the buyer or lessee. Line 45 talks about the name, address, phone number, mailing address of the contractors. It starts talking about the name, address of the state contractors who are installing it. It goes through a number of things like the total cost to the person buying it, a description of the assumptions of how they calculated the savings of how this would make sense for someone buying it, description of one-time fees or recurring fees, the disclosure notifying the buyer of whether the how it's being financed, payment schedules of what that finance payment looks like, a description of what the system is, a description of the performance and production guarantees, declaration notifying them that whether there's tax credits, who gets those tax credits, whether it's the person buying it. Sometimes it's actually the company selling it to you or the finance company.
Was this disclosure laid out in your original version?
It was.
Okay.
It was one of the
sounds
sections in
also
there.
familiar.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
that's right. It's 29 items in that disclosure.
Okay.
But really, it's just all the pertinent information if you're buying one of these systems that we hope that you would ask for. Why does this make sense? Who owns all these things? So it's very clear to someone who maybe doesn't get an attorney. These are $75,000 systems oftentimes, and that's a lot of money to a lot of people. And so maybe they don't get an attorney to review these contracts. But this basically spells it out in plain English of what you're getting, how they decided this is what you need, why this makes sense for you. That's what the disclosure does, and that's what's required to be given on a sale. And then that was in my original bill, and also in the original bill was a presentation to be created by the PSC related to solar awareness. And so they would create solar awareness, they'd work with the industry, and they'd put that on their website, just for people to have information about.
You've still got that in there, right?
That's still in there. That's starts at line 181.
But all the sort of licensing end of things, the pre-authorization of these folks before they can sell rooftop solar is gone.
It's been removed. That's correct.
And this, we had testimony from folks in the commercial industry wanted to make sure it didn't apply to them.
Right, and
This
we worked with
is
legislative
pure
council.
residential,
It's
right?
purely residential, and they made a statement in here saying this is for residential, and I'm happy to have him
So
talk about it.
what's the enforcement mechanism? Now, instead of getting sort of pre-approved as quality providers, et cetera,
Right.
they have to make this disclosure. What happens if they don't?
They're up for civil penalty, so starting in line 202. If you fail to provide the disclosure, then you're liable for a civil penalty for each violation. And
Who enforces that? The PSC?
I believe you file a lawsuit, I believe. I don't think there's a PSC has the enforcement of
Okay.
that.
All right.
And that's really what this does now.
All right. So you took PSC out of it pretty much, other than their help in creating that disclosure form?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, does anybody have questions? This really narrowed down the scope of your bill.
That's
Made it
correct.
A lot easier.
That's correct. And after the last meeting, I know Senator Albers, he'd asked to meet, and we met. He had some really good ideas. They just didn't really work for what we were trying to do in the time frame that I had left to do it. And so that's why we wound up with where we wound up today.
Okay.
Maybe we'll come back to that and try to
Well, it
try to
helps
address it.
accomplish your goal of protecting homeowners from getting ripped off by these shady
That's correct.
arrangements that make promises they can't keep.
That's right. And I believe the industry, I hope the industry will come and speak to say that we also want these bad actors out and that they'll be supportive of it.
Any questions from committee members? All right, what's the pleasure of the committee? Got a motion to pass for Senator Albers. Is there a second? Second from Senator Lucas. Very agreeable gentleman this afternoon. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. We are voting on a do-pass motion on the substitute to House Bill 73. That's LC 55-02867. All right?
286S.
86S, I'm sorry. Any opposed? All right, it passes unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Chairman.
your
Thank you, members.
patience working with us. I think it's a better product than we started with last year.
Thank you. And I appreciate your help, too. You've been very helpful to me. Thank you.
Betcha. All righty. House Bill 844, Representative Earhart. I'll help explain your bill for you, because everybody's going to look in here and see substitute and say, oh, Lord, what's Council done to the poor lady's bill? But I hadn't touched it. You made a change, and this is a substitute to 844 LC 52054-6S. You put an "and" in here that we didn't have before.
It was a complex change, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we
I hate
added.
to have wasted the paper for 12 pages of bills to do that.
I'm sorry if we had to wait.
Where does that fit?
Sorry, we had to kill those trees between, and forgive me on that. I'm going to defer, I'm sorry, Mr. Tenney, do you remember exactly where it was between lines 20? 361. On line 361.
All right, so you changed, and I don't see the word "and" on there. Did you take it
Yeah.
out?
Hold on.
The very end.
361, okay, so at the very end of 361, you
Right.
put in that
added the
and.
word,
Right.
yes.
And by doing that, you mean you have to comply with subsection A that starts at 358 and subsection B at 362.
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
That is good legal draftsmanship.
thank you.
And we probably would have caught that in our code revision.
Well, we were-
Bill, but this is better safe than
I'm
sorry.
sure, I agree with that. I was appreciative to
Give
Ledge
me
Council
a
for.
2-minute reminder of your bill. I know it's
Beyond that
dietitians.
word, nothing else has changed with this bill. As a quick reminder, this bill repeals and reenacts the Dietetic Practice Act. You'll recall we talked about how this clarifies, streamlines, modernizes the language for this code related to licensed dietitians and licensed nutritionists. This code hasn't been touched in more than 20 years, and a lot has changed in that ensuing time. It provides clear language regarding the standards of practice for both the dietitians and the nutritionists. I mentioned previously, we talked about the medical nutrition therapy, which is a very specific type of nutritional advice or direction or education, and it's the highest level. It's used for the treatment of diagnosed diseases and conditions. That's why it's so important that that is regulated. Provides a pathway to licensure for all the nutrition professionals, and is very clear and specific about what you can and cannot do if you are not a licensed nutritionist. We're talking about trainers, health coaches, holistic wellness advisors, things of that they are limited to non-medical, non-individualized advice, general health and nutrition. In a nutshell, that is the bill.
We remember it well. Any questions with this big change? Anybody, is that giving you heartburn? No. It's a good catch, actually. I'm teasing with you that those kind of little, mays and shalls make a difference in some of these things. What's the pleasure of the committee? Is there a motion to do pass? Got a do pass from Senator Albers and a second from the minority leader. That is committee substitute to HB 844. Are there any amendments proposed or any discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand. And all opposed, like sign. All right, once again, unanimous. This is very nicely, you got them all? Yeah, who you want to carry that in the?
Senator Walker has agreed to carry this bill.
He is our licensing
He's gonna
expert,
be
so
busy.
he's a good pick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Representative Perkle, House Bill 1294.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We heard this at our last meeting, and
Yes,
it
sir.
was one of the last. I was losing my quorum.
Yes, sir.
And it was not complicated, but I wanted to give everybody a moment to digest it and make sure we didn't have any additional feedback. There was very little
Okay.
testimony. Nobody has signed up today, but if you'd just give us the brief refresher, we'll take action on your bill.
Yes, sir. Briefly, it provides authorization for GFA to provide financing for natural gas projects for cities and counties across the state. This is one of the key pinch points in economic development in a lot of parts of the state that we found as we went around with the Rural Development Council. Some communities have zero excess capacity. Some have no capacity at all. It's a great bill for some of the most economically distressed parts of the state.
All right. Are there questions from any committee members? Senator Ginn, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hadn't unfortunately been here when this bill was discussed originally. And I look at it and I'm like, okay, if you open that door up, is this door opening up for the investor owns, for the municipalities, for any gas supplier? Tell me a little bit more about the bill in general. And I apologize, it may be repetitive to my committee members, but it is a big step forward.
And I think it's just a natural extension of GFA's already sound policies that they provide low-interest loans and sometimes grants to cities and counties for water, sewer, solid waste infrastructure. And you know better than most anybody in this room that there are opportunities presently for conversion of solid waste into natural gas in a symbiotic system. And there's no way for cities and counties that there's over 80 cities and counties, municipalities at home their municipal gas system, and this would provide the ability, subject to appropriation, of course, for them to expand their system and upgrade their systems. Yes, sir.
Does this also allow for an investor-owned?
No, sir.
Atlanta
No, sir.
Atlanta
No,
Gas,
sir.
like somebody like
No,
that?
sir.
Hey, have you got any pushback from some of the investor-owns?
No, sir. The only feedback I've had is from my municipal county systems, and they are exceedingly excited about the potential for this. For instance, in my area, in Senator Summers' area of the state, we are out of natural gas capacity. There is zero additional possibility for light to heavy industrial that has good paying jobs for my part of the state because we have no natural gas.
Yeah, thank you for bringing the
Thank
bill
you.
forward.
Thank you.
All right, further questions from committee members? I'm going to recognize Senator Cardin Summers, who this impacts your district. First to make a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
You got a second from Senator Ginn. Any discussion or proposed amendments? Believe it or not, we are making no changes, no committee sub. It's straight out of the
Thank you,
House.
sir.
You did such a good job getting it right
You're
over
so
there.
very
We
kind.
can't even improve this one. So the motion is due pass House Bill 1294, LC 550127. All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, you've passed unanimously. Who would you like to
Thank
carry that
you.
for you?
My senator, Senator Summers.
That's a good pick.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess that means everybody else in the room is for this last bill. House Bill 1260. This is a hearing only. My email's almost broke. I think you crashed the server of the Senate a couple times the last few days, all the emails we've gotten around America of people interested in this subject. Senator Gaines, I don't know what you stirred up, but you need to educate us on it. Tell us what we got here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good to be with you all. This bill, House Bill 1260, is one we passed overwhelmingly with bipartisan support in the House, and the goal here is to get a handle on the vape issue that we have in our state. We have vaping products across shelves that a lot of illegal products on our shelves, frankly, across Georgia. And so, we have, many of you have probably seen in the news over several years, particularly young people who have been affected by vaping in this state. In fact, youth vaping has increased just over 2,000% on disposable vaping products just in the last couple of years, 2,000%. We've read stories about, anybody, young children that, whether it's trying a fentanyl-laced vape and changing their lives or getting hooked on some of these products that are, and actually I brought one here. This is Lost Mary. It's a product that is actually illegal in the United States, but if you go to most retail stores, you'd find it on the shelf. It's one of the most popular vaping products. It's actually it was Elf Bar a year ago. Elf Bar was the number one selling vape in America. It's illegal in the United States. Once the FDA cracked down on the Elf Bar, they just changed their name to Lost Mary, and so now that's on the shelves across the United States. And a lot of these products are Chinese manufactured, and again, zero regulation. They're not legal products, but frankly, retailers don't have a way to enforce what's legal and what's not. They don't have a way to make sure what they're selling is legal. We've been working with the Georgia retailers and convenience stores. They've been great to work with us on this to make sure that they are aware of what they're selling is legal product. They want to make sure that they're selling legal product. And the way we're doing that and crafting that is by creating a state level registry of what vaping products are legal here in Georgia. The FDA is currently authorized, given full approval to about 30 vaping products in the United States. There's only 30 that are fully approved. However, there's an unknown number of products that were submitted in a timely manner and are pending before the FDA have not been denied. Now, if you submit a product today and it's pending, it's not legal to be sold in the United States. But if you had a product that was on the shelves a few years ago and submit an application by 2020, as long as it's not been denied, it's legal to be sold in the United States. So those products have not been denied. There are a number of products, thousands and thousands, that have been denied because they're not safe products, that have been denied, or they're targeting children because, as you know, the flavor issue has been fairly significant. So
What was wrong with Elf Bar? Why did it get, disapproved? Or
well, a lot of them it's because of the flavor It's supposed to only be menthol and tobacco flavored, but like this one is banana raspberry ice flavored. This is not a legal product.
It's not illegal.
It is not legal.
It is not legal.
It's,
How you got it?
If you
that's the point, you can buy it anywhere.
you can go if you go to any, frankly, most convenience stores and most vape stores, I bet 90% of them are selling this. They don't know necessarily that what they're selling is illegal because there's, again, not a registry. There's not some list that convenience stores have where they can check, and that's why we've been working with the convenience stores so that they have a product list where they can see what they're selling is legal product and hasn't been denied by the FDA.
Okay, so you're helping to assist the convenience stores and sellers of these products know what has and has not been FDA approved.
That's right.
And ideally, that would mean it's a safe product for Georgia citizens.
That's right. Right now, again, people do not know what they're in for consumers. That's what's most important. Consumers are unaware. I think, frankly, before I really got engaged on this issue over the last several months, I would have assumed that products you're getting in stores have been approved by the FDA and have been, that what you're getting is safe product. Someone actually sent me a video yesterday just of an Elk Bar product they had in a convenience store, and it blew up in their face. I mean, and, it wasn't some big explosion, but it exploded in their face at the convenience store. So, again, the vast majority of these products are Chinese manufactured and flooding the shelves here in the United States. And so some other states have passed similar legislation, and others have it considered. And I can get into specifics, Mr. Chairman, if you want me to. The House passed version, I think some of the kind of issues in particular is where this would be housed. The House passed version that we passed overwhelmingly puts the registry in the Attorney General's office with enforcement with the Department of Revenue because they're already dealing with these facilities on a regular basis. So that made sense. Originally introduced, it was in the Department of Ag. After working through a lot of conversation with the Ag, Department of Revenue, and the Attorney General's office, we felt like that made the most sense. Since that time, we've had additional conversation. I think there may be merit to moving it all to the Department of Revenue, but obviously that's something we can discuss. I know today's a hearing only, but I don't know if y'all want me to get any more into it or not. But
that's the big picture.
Right.
I have a question from Chairman Summers. I'm going to recognize him before he forgets it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Gaines, you can buy this, I mean, if we do what you want to do, how do you police the internet?
that is one of the challenges, is that you can go buy a lot of this stuff online right now. And I think that that's something that we need to continue to explore, is how do we address the online sales? Because I think that's a problem as well.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead.
A lot of products you see across the board advertised every day, it hits your phone and whatever will say not FDA approved. And you buy them and you take it, I guess you do it at your own risk. If that product you're holding that you said is illegal to your hands there, does it say not FDA approved on it anywhere?
I don't think so.
I mean, if you did that, I'm just wondering, would that circumvent the law that we're trying to do if it says not FDA approved?
This one does not say not FDA approved.
Somewhere. Do you think?
Sorry, what was the question? Back me on that.
If it says non-FDA approved, would it circumvent the law that we're trying to pass here to give people a pass to get what they want?
No, because so if this bill as it's written were to be in law, then it would be incumbent on the retailers to make sure what they are selling is on the registry of products that are legal. And so even if they put something on there saying that it's not FDA approved, if what a retailer is selling includes products that are not legal, then it wouldn't be able to be sold, if that makes sense.
Senator Dolezal, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill. I'm trying to kind of understand the current state of play on vaping. I know we've passed laws. I think the federal side has passed laws. Is what you have there illegal solely because it's flavored and not because of any THC levels or anything like that? It's solely the flavoring that makes it illegal?
It's flavor, and it hasn't been submitted to the FDA for their approval on, I mean, there may be other issues with it. I suspect this would get denied because of flavoring, but
Okay. So if you
it's
could-
illegal because the FDA has never either given an approval or it wasn't submitted in a time where it could be pending and legal to be sold.
Okay. So I know that a couple years ago we had a bill. 5 years ago, basically you had these vape shops around the state. They were making their own products.
Yeah.
And there's two sides to this coin, right? I had a brother who quit smoking using vaping, and it was, he smelled like it all the time. It was Fruity Pebbles, right? So he, as a veteran, came back, he was smoking like crazy, used Fruity Pebbles vaping, and got him off of that. He became addicted to that. He eventually got off of that. Since then, have the feds stepped in to say that they have to regulate, they have to approve every single vape product that's sold in the states? Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And you were
Nicotine-based vape products, that's
So
right.
you're looking to say that in Georgia, you have to have FDA approval. And is that, I guess my question is that not already covered by this federal law that you're?
So it's
talking about?
already the law, like this shouldn't be sold in the United States, but the FDA is not enforcing their regulations. Now, they are sending letters to retailers, like, so with Elf Bar, they sent a letter to retailers saying, do not sell Elf Bar. And then again, Elf Bar just changed its name to Lost Mary. So they're kind of, these Chinese manufacturers are really just kind of trying to stay ahead of the FDA. So the FDA, they're, again, sending letters saying don't sell it, but there's really no enforcement. So what this bill does, and I think this is a really important point, nothing that is illegal today would become legal tomorrow. Nothing that's legal today would become illegal tomorrow. This is just enforcing what is currently legal in the United States.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
All right, you made some comments. I had noticed in your bill, and you and I have had discussions, that it was subject to appropriations and that there was a sort of a decision to be made, should the Attorney General's office handle this
Right.
list because they do that for tobacco products already, or should the Department of Revenue do it, since they're going to kind of be tasked with enforcing it like they do the tobacco laws and alcohol laws already. I had the commissioner come in and speak to me, and he's here today. Frank, appreciate you coming. I'm going to let you testify real briefly, and then we've got a time problem because this room is reserved to public safety, and they've got a explosive issue going on. They're going to need this room, but we are going to continue this hearing because I literally got about 10 or 15 people signed up to speak, and you've made the effort to be here, and you're going to be heard. We're going to have to adjourn just out this hall and about a half a stairways down to the Senate mezz and resume testimony there. We're going to take about a 5 or 10 minute recess, but Frank, can I get you to testify first? I know you got Austin, your sidekick, with you, but I want to just hear it from whichever one of y'all. Let me just ask you first, refresh me what you do in the tobacco world already as the Department of Revenue as far as your enforcement, how that works.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is Austin Gibbons. I serve as Director of External Affairs and Communications at the Georgia Department of Revenue. We've got the Commissioner here. We've got the Director and Deputy Director of our Alcohol and Tobacco Division. We've got our General Counsel, and we've got our Assistant Deputy Commissioner. So a lot of the top brass is here because we know this is a very important issue, and we've been involved in the drafting process as Chairman Gaines and Legislative Counsel, the Regulated Industries Committee, and you have sought our feedback. So I'm going to turn it over to the Commissioner and Jeremy to kind of give a Tobacco 101 presentation to the committee.
And I do appreciate you all being here.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. This is my first time appearing before your committee, so it's a privilege to be here before you and the members of the committee. Thank you.
Good to have you.
As Chairman Gaines said, the linchpin of this bill is the directory, and that would be the first step. In addition to the 30 or so products that are on it, I understand that there were millions of applications for other products, and so the FDA is going to have to work their way through those other applications. Whenever the directory is ready to go up, it would be on, if it's the Department of Revenue, our public website, and then the other provisions would kick in. I think there would be 60 days that would give 60 days notice to retailers and distributors that their products needed to either be on the registry or they needed to have a pending application that was submitted by September 2020. What I'd like to do now, and let me just say, we certainly didn't have a large part in this bill originally. If it's the will of the General Assembly, obviously we'll administer and enforce, and the provisions for administration and enforcement will be modeled along the lines of our tobacco authority.
Tell us how you do tobacco now. Is there
Yes,
a
sir.
registry for tobacco products?
We do administer the registry and make sure that tobacco products are on the registry. But if I may, sir, I'd like to bring up Jeremy Thompson, our Assistant Director of Alcohol and Tobacco Division, and he can talk briefly about what we do in tobacco that we would do in vape under this bill.
That's where I'm headed.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. So to answer your question, what we do with the directory, the Attorney General maintains the directory and they add or remove tobacco brands.
And is that based on FDA rulings or?
That ultimately comes from around 1998, the Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement.
Right.
To be sold legally in states, tobacco manufacturers have to meet certain requirements and pay into escrow to help with medical bills and
So
and
who
that sort of thing.
determines those requirements? Is that determined by the Attorney General or the Food and Drug Administration? Or
So
somebody
the
else?
requirements themselves were enumerated in the MSA, the Master Settlement Agreement, and then each state's attorneys general confirms that the tobacco companies meet those requirements, and then if so, they add them to the directory.
Right, so they have that's made public somehow. They keep this like on a website or whatever?
Yes, sir, that's correct. They update the directory every 30 days, and it's available on their website.
So how does the Georgia Department of Revenue utilize that directory in your enforcement actions?
So our role there, our enforcement agents, part of our duties are to do inspections at places that are licensed to do alcohol and tobacco sales. So part of the inspection process entails us checking the brands that are in a business, retailers, wholesalers, and making sure that every brand of tobacco or cigarettes specifically that they have there is on the directory and can legitimately be sold in our state.
So before you can sell a tobacco product in Georgia, you have to have been sort of checked off the boxes or whatever and approved by the FDA to be put on the directory that's maintained by the Attorney General's office.
That's correct. There's the process there is an escrow account, and then there's an application process that entails basically a certification that you're going to meet the requirements and maintain the requirements.
And when you're making your monthly or surprise investigations at retailers of whatever sort, you're checking the tobacco products to make sure they are legally being sold and are included on the directory.
That's it exactly.
So you're
And-
asked to do the same thing here with vape products.
Correct.
Is
Yes, sir.
that going to be a burden to your agency? It sounds like it's something you're essentially doing already with tobacco products.
So the answer is yes and no, I guess.
You're equipped to do it for sure because you're doing something very similar.
Yes, sir. I think, I wouldn't say all of it, but I think a good portion of it would fit within our existing infrastructure to do, what we're talking about. But I could potentially see it being, time consuming and, maybe needing a few more resources there to effectively management. Particularly if we are tasked with the management and maintenance of the directory itself, which we currently don't do for tobacco.
So it sounds like this, you would be the enforcement arm, your agents would be going and removing from the shelves any non-approved products.
That's correct. That's what we do now for tobacco and is what's in the bill for us to
And
currently
it
do
would help
for
the
vape.
retailers to know what is approved. They would be able to go to your Department of Revenue website, in this case, to see what was on the registry of approved products before they bought them or stocked them.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
All
correct.
right.
The approved products are there, and then they give minimum 30 days notice before something comes off the list.
All right. Commissioner, let me get you back for 1 minute. and then we're going to take a little break here. In our conversations, I asked you what you think this would require in new resources from the Department of Revenue to participate in generating, maintaining the registry, and enforcing the sales of products to make certain only products on the registry were allowed to be sold. And did you have a idea what type of additional manpower you would need to do this?
Yes, sir. We estimate that it would take 7 additional agents to our current 45, and a couple of additional hearing officers for the citations that would result. So all told, approximately $1.8 million in the first year for equipment and salaries, and then approximately $1.2 million on an ongoing basis afterwards.
And if we provided you with that amount of resources to hire those people, you'd be able to handle this regulatory burden?
Yes, sir, we would.
And you're willing to do that if it's the will of the legislature?
Absolutely, sir.
I love your enthusiastic cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, really, I think it's a fit, and so that's a good idea. But I wanted our committee to understand exactly how the mechanism here works. All right. Austin, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Really, really appreciate y'all making the effort to be here with us today, because it helps us learn the mechanisms here and how it works. We're going to take about somewhere between 5 and 10 minute break, and we're going to adjourn, let Senator Albers do his thing in here with public safety, and we're going to go just down the stairs to the Senate mezz. I've got the sign-up list. Everybody else, you're going to get your chance. Stretch your legs, go down there, grab you a chair, and we'll be down in just a few minutes.